Ricken Financial presents Kickin with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Gerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you reach the retirement you deserve. Let's build a strategy that gives you the confidence while meeting your financial wants and needs. Meet the team at rickenfinancial.com. Now, Kickin with the Rickens.
Welcome back to another fun episode of Kickin with the Rickens, redefining retirement. I'm your co-host, Doug Turnbull, here with Gerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost, retirement planners at Ricken Financial. You can get in touch with them, and trust me, you'll want to after hear just a little bit of this. But this is way too much fun. I need to get in touch with them. rickenfinancial.com. They're out of St. Louis, helping protect and preserve the retirement you deserve. Heidi, Gerry, how are we doing today?
Hey, it's a beautiful day.
Great, Fireball. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing wonderful, thank you. And there are so many people, and I've got to admit, I'm not among them that get all excited about fall, okay? I love summer.
You don't like your pumpkin spice lattes?
It's nothing against the flavor. I like spring over fall because it means you're getting warmer, you're thawing out. Fall's like, oh my gosh, winter's right around the corner, and I can't. It's cold weather, I don't hate it, but I love summer too much to be with cold weather. But I know winters can be brutal there in Missouri, all right, or can be, I guess. So, I mean, how do we feel about fall and also all of the fall-themed things, including, as you mentioned, Heidi, pumpkin spice?
Oh, well, to be fair, I don't really particularly love pumpkin spice. I'm not one of those girls that's going to sit outside of Starbucks to get the holiday thing the first day. But I do love fall because I'm a weirdo and I prefer cold weather. So I get excited that fall's leading into winter because I like the cold weather.
And Gerry, is just because Heidi never shovels the snow in winter? Is that why she leaves that?
Well, you know, having three girls and a spouse at home, all of us really shoveled snow and did a lot of that. And in fact, the person who shovels the most snow in our family is my wife, Sheila.
She doesn't even allow us. She's like, this is my workout.
Okay, that's fair.
So I'm enjoying that, and people have called me. In fact, fun fact, back in the day when we were expecting our first child, she was about 10 months pregnant. She was overdue, and it snowed. She went out and shoveled the driveway, and people called me. All the neighbors called me and started yelling at me. I said, you go out and tell this pregnant woman that she can't do this. So,
oh, my God, she might go into labor. Spoiler alert, she didn't. Mary Beth did not want to come out.
And we always dedicate these episodes to Mary Beth, of course, who, but because of her passing in 2001, y'all helped found and still volunteer at the SIBS camp there. So we always, Mary Beth loves when we're laughing on these episodes. So I hope everybody's got their top button unbuttoned here to just kind of let loose, let the hair down, loosen the tie, and have fun kicking with the Rickens. Gerry, before we get into our big topic today, which is just like with fall, how to finish 2024 strong financially and tax-wise, Gerry, what about you? What's your seasonal preference there? Are you into the fall, pumpkin spice?
You know, I really am into the fall, and especially when September rolls around, because not for the pumpkin spice, but for the Oktoberfest varieties that come out in my beer. So one of the fun facts is I do every fall is I actually rate each one and send it to my bocce team. With in a separate glass, usually
with a picture, with a deep dive into the palate, what it does, how
it's fabulous.
It's a lot.
It's fabulous.
You're an Oktoberfest beer connoisseur.
I certainly am. And each one of them.
Each year, you buy at least 20 different varietals.
As many as I could find.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was distracted. I was booking my plane ticket to St. Louis. Okay, that sounds fantastic. All right, but hey, one more about the season here before we get into financially finishing the year strong. Gerry, Heidi, the Ricken family seems like to me they would do most holidays big. All right, I'm not going to ask about Thanksgiving. I'm going to ask about one closer. Where do we stand on Halloween?
Oh my God, you have no idea. People come out of the woodwork in St. Louis to come see my parents' house because you are 100% correct. My dad, not our family, my dad does every holiday big. And
go big or go home, baby.
You know, Halloween is not an exception in our family. He hand carves at least 100-pound pumpkins each year. And he has 2 pumpkins that are at least 100 pounds and then a variety of other ones. And literally people come from all over the place to see them. We'll have to send some pictures to you. It actually is kind of amazing, Doug. But Dad, what do we get to do each year to get those pumpkins home?
Well, we go out to one of our favorite favorite pumpkin patches. Usually it's been Eckert's lately. And what we do is we bring the largest vehicles we have with bed sheets and roll these 100 to 150, maybe some closer to 200-pound pumpkins onto the bed sheets. Heidi rolls one end up, I roll the other end up, and we lift them into the car, and then we have to do the same thing on the other side. And then the fun fact thing is trying to get those things in the house and up on the counter so I can actually carve them. That's probably the most challenging thing. And then people say, well, oh my gosh, what kind of lights are in there? What kind of candles do you use? I use 3 100-watt floodlights in each one of these.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And, you kind of joked about me shoveling earlier, but keep in mind, I was the third born girl. And then 8 years later came my brother. But by the time my brother came around, I was already doing all this kind of stuff with dad. So I kind of did like the boy stuff growing up. And I have that like brute force, strong-willedness in me.
I totally she was a lacrosse goalie.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, we need to lift this 200-pound pumpkin. No big deal. Hold my beer.
Hold my Oktoberfest beer. Get it right. And one of the 6,000 flavors of them. Oh my God. Well, what an entertaining story. And you can look, we need you all. We want you all very much to go to rickenfinancial.com and meet with the Rick. You may get to your finances at some point, but you got to tell a great story first. Okay. And
that's right.
Honestly, I have so much fun. And anybody I've dealt with in any customer, client transaction or whatever, I always am like, oh yeah, we'll get to the pest control later. Let's talk about the Braves or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just way more fun. Life is too short to, not laugh hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that's right.
Let's get into it this week. Finishing the year strong. Heidi, financially 2024. That I sort of get this idea when I hit the end of the year, like, hey, man, I'm kind of winding down. There's holidays, these big ones like Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, and so forth coming up. But really, this is a time that I guess people need to be sharpest because you're getting to the end of a tax season.
Oh, absolutely. And 2024 is incredibly important to finish out strong, because we only have the remaining parts of 2024, so till the end of this calendar year, and 2025 to take advantage of our current tax rates. So what does that actually mean to you? Well, in 2024, we still are under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 tax rates, and January 1st of 2026, our tax rates are going to hike back up. To put that in some real world perspective for you, if you're single and you make about $40,000, in 2024, you're in the 12% tax bracket. In 2026, you'll be in the 25%. If you're married and you make about $80,000 of taxable income right now, you're in the 12% tax bracket in 2024. You're also going to be in the 25% bracket in 2026. And if you're single and you make $100,000 a year right now, in 2024, you're going to be in the 24% tax bracket. That's going to hike up to 28% in 2026. And if you're married and make $250,000, currently you're in the 24% tax bracket. On January 1st of 2026, you're popping up into the 33%. So across the board, our rates are going to go up in the future. So take advantage of them now while you can. Additionally, right now, if you're single, the standard deduction is about $14,600. In 2026, they'll inflation adjust it. We don't really know for sure what the number is going to end up at. It'll probably be somewhere around $8,000. So you won't be able to have as much juice in the turnip to reduce your income before it becomes taxable. And right now, if you're married, your standard deduction is about $29,200. In 2026, it's going to go down to somewhere around $13,000.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we need to proactively plan so that by the time January 1st of 26 comes around, we're not saying, what could we have done to save in taxes? Because our biggest gripe when it comes to taxation is we're usually having this conversation at tax time, and it's too late to take advantage of the year before. So let's do all that we can to finish this year strong.
Yeah, there's always people say, is there a light at the end of the tunnel? Yes, there is. On taxes, the light at the end of the tunnel is a freight train coming at us. So we want to make sure that we don't miss that we can avoid that train.
Well, it's what do we do then? And I know if you go to rickenfinancial.com, get in touch with Gerry and Heidi Ricken Provost. They're going to get with you on this. How do you all help people? What are some levers people can pull or holes they can plug, so to speak, to try to help get the best advantage of that or the least disadvantage, I guess?
Sure. So if you have some time until your retirement, one of the first things you should do, if you have an HSA, you're HSA eligible, why don't we budget to make sure we maximize that HSA, before tax time? You have some wiggle room in the timing on an HSA, but you might not have a
health spending account, correct?
Yes, a health savings account. So you can use that at any point in time. And a lot of people will put money into their HSA during the year and use it on their medical expenses throughout the year. It might be a wise idea to save that money for the future, because think about it, when you turn 65 and you're on Medicare and you need a supplement and the supplement costs money, you can use your HSA to fund that, and or it may become tax-free income in the future for you.
It becomes tax-free in the future. Okay, Jerry, what do you want to add there? Yeah.
And I love that idea, because not a lot of people think about their HSA. They just think it's a perk at work. But using that as a retirement asset is really key because of the tax savings you have on that asset. It's very much like a Roth, if you will. Speaking of Roths, Heidi, why don't we talk a little bit about Roth conversions? That's something we all could do, and we believe we all should at least take a look at it and see if it makes sense for us.
Of course.
And that's something that's smart to do before the end of the year for the reasons you mentioned with the change in rates, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. So if you are currently contributing to traditional accounts, those are called qualified because of the tax qualifications. If you are contributing to your traditional 401k, IRA, or let's say you've saved for many, many years in those traditional accounts, by the time, if you were born before 1960, by the time you're age 73, the government's going to force you to take a piece of that out in the form of a required minimum distribution each year. If you were born 1960 or thereafter, by age 75, the government's going to force you to take a piece each year out to pay tax on it. So what do you do now to take advantage of the tax rates? Because if you think about compounded growth over the course of time, those required minimum distributions can add a lot of taxable income to your 1040. So right now, what you can do, if you have funds in your traditional account, you pay the tax this year, and you can convert it over into Roth. As long as that's open for 5 years and you're over the age of 59 and a half, that will become tax-free to you in the future. So right now, if you have some wiggle room in your tax bracket, you can take advantage of those lower tax rates by moving some money into Roth from your traditional accounts. If you're under the age of 59 and a half right now and you want to do a Roth conversion, you have to come out of pocket to pay the tax. But if you're over the age of 59 and a half, you can actually use the funds within your traditional account to pay the tax while you're converting it as well.
Okay. So that's it. So it's like you're moving even more money out of the traditional accounts towards something that gets the tax burden off your back.
That's exactly
absolutely.
Right. And it makes eminent sense to do that in these next 2 years, especially, and even beyond that. Mm-hmm. As Heidi mentioned, age 73 or age 75, if you're in your 60s now, you have a long time to be able to look at that and see if it makes sense economically, and it probably will be. It will make sense for a lot of people.
Yeah, and if you're in your 60s right now and you have $1 million in traditional funds between you and your spouse, you're going to add a lot of taxable income to your 1040 by the time you hit 70, 73, 75. It probably makes a lot of sense, and you don't want the government to benefit the most from all of your hard work and your savings over the course of these years.
And you don't get to pick and choose how much you take out. It is actually assigned your life expectancy. Doug, I don't know if you know it, but the IRS knows how long you're going to live, because they have a table that says this is a life expectancy and these are the percentages you need to take out each and every year, starting at age either 73 or 75 for the rest of your life.
So let's talk about RMDs, because if you currently have to take your required minimum distribution, your RMD, hopefully you're well aware of that. And if not, please give us a call. We can let you know just simply if you give us a buzz. Hey, do I need to take an RMD? Yes or no, definitively, because I actually field those phone calls all the time since the ages have changed so much over the course of the years. But if you have to take your RMD this year, what do? First of all, take it. You have to take it. If you do not take your required minimum distribution that you're supposed to take this tax year, there will be a 25% excise tax on your tax return. You're going to have to pay 25% penalty for not taking the income you were supposed to draw.
And that's
So
in
if you think
addition
about
to the money that you're already that you were withdrawing before that you're taking tax on. So that's a big addition.
Well, yeah, it's a 25% penalty for not having income. So you don't have the income to come in to cover that penalty. It's egregious, but it's in place because you have to make sure that you take your required minimum distributions. Otherwise, there are going to be consequences to pay. Well, what if you don't need the RMD money and you're a charitably inclined person already? You can do what we call a QCD, or a qualified charitable distribution, with part of that RMD, where you give the money directly to a church or charity of your choice as long as they're a legitimate 501c3 charity. It qualifies you for taking your RMD, but you don't have to pay tax on the amount that goes to that charity.
A lot of people just don't understand that when they change the tax laws. The charitable contributions kind of went away because so many people can no longer itemize. But this is an opportunity for those that are taking RMDs to actually take advantage of something that's in the tax code that some people aren't familiar with.
So let me just say it back to you here before we wrap up this great episode of Kickin' With The Rickens, Redefining Retirement. If you make a QCD, it counts toward the RMD number, correct?
Yes, we love acronyms in our industry.
I like that, but that's great to know, and it encourages people by getting insight from you all, Heidi and Gerry. It encourages them to be charitable when they think maybe they don't have the bandwidth to do that. There are so many other questions that can be asked in this field. So here's what you need to do: if this rings a bell, or if it pushes a pressure point, you need to go to rickenfinancial.com, or maybe you're already locked in with them and you just like hearing the podcast. Make sure people in your circle know about this. We're coming to a part of the year here toward the end, the last quarter of 2024, where these things are going to become top of mind, or they need to be top of mind. And I just learned something right here, guys. I've learned a lot of acronyms recently as I started doing these podcasts. I didn't know about the QCD, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch more alphabet soup that we need to drink to keep warm here in these colder months, right?
We absolutely want to teach everyone out there, and come see us before the end of the year, because that's a key thing, because these next 2 years, we truly do have an opportunity tax-wise.
Yeah, so let's make sure you can harvest tax losses if you want to. Make sure your HSA is fully funded. Review your tax withholdings before the end of the year. Make sure your risk tolerance is on par with your asset allocation, that you can do any catch-up contributions you might need to do in your retirement plans. Look at a beneficiary review. Make sure everything's titled properly. Pay off your debt if you need some help with that. Create an income plan for next year, and let's implement a forward-facing tax strategy moving into your retirement. We'd love to chat.
Forward-facing tax strategy there. Didn't mean to interrupt you, Heidi, but that's such good advice there. So once again, folks, rickenfinancial.com, right there in St. Louis. They want to help you out and help protect and preserve the retirement you deserve. And I know we're reaching the end of the year, and there's so many holidays to remember, but we've got to remember that every day
is a holiday.
Life is short.
Laugh hard.
And we're going to do plenty more laughing here on the next episode of Kickin' With The Rickens, Redefining Retirement. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Gerry, Heidi, thank you for your time. I'm Doug, and we will talk to you, everybody, very, very soon.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.